This video is going to be doing the power rule for finding the derivative function. There's three different rules that kind of come into this. For the first one, which is the main one, if we have a function f of x equals a times by x to the power of n, then the derivative of that is a times n times x to the power of n minus 1. Next, if our function f of x equals c, so just a constant, then the derivative of that equals 0. And then if we have one function plus or minus to another function, then we just do the derivative of each of those separately. We've got an example here that's just got about 9 different scenarios that you could see. F of x equals x cubed, so we're just going to use that rule. And a really quick way of doing it is we bring the power down, so the 3 comes down, the x stays, and then we minus 1 from the power. That's basically what the rule does. Let's have a look at the same thing with b. Now we've got y. Another notation we can write is y dash if we wish. And with the rule, bring the negative 4 down, so bring the power down. We'll get negative 4x, and then minus 1 from the power, which will be negative 5. C, h equals 2t to the power of 5. We've got to look at our letters here for notation. We've got h and a t, so we can write dh over dt equals. Now I'll do this in 2 steps. You will eventually just do it all in 1 step. We have the 2, then we multiply that by the 5, because remember, bring the 5 down from the power, the t stays, and minus 1 from the power. Then we can simplify that just to 10t to the power of 4. D, f of x equals 6 over x squared. With this one, the easiest thing we need to do first, we don't like fractions, is to just rewrite this as 6x to the power of a negative 2. Just use our index laws, and now it becomes really simple. 6 times the negative 2 from the power that we bring down, which will be negative 12, x to the power of negative 3, negative 2 minus 1. E, y equals 7x minus 2. So let's do y dash equals 7x. The x here is to the power of 1, so we know if we bring that down, we're going to have 7 times 1, which is just 7. Then if we minus 1 from the power, we get x to the power of 0, which is just 1. So our answer to that part is 7. Now the minus 2 is just a constant, and the derivative of a constant is 0, so the answer will just be 7. F, we have x plus 3 multiplied by x minus a. Easiest thing we need to do first is to expand the brackets. If we do that, we'll get x squared plus 3x minus ax minus 3a. Now in here we've got an a and an x, and we can't do the derivative of 2 variables, we can only do it with respect to 1. Now the key here is looking in the brackets here, and we've got f of x, which means x is the variable we are doing the derivative of, and that means that the letter a is just a constant and we treat it like any other number. Always make sure you read the question to know which letter you are doing the derivative with respect to. In this case then, each bit we just do separately. Derivative of x squared would just be 2x, plus derivative of 3x. We know in this situation from the previous example, the x just disappears. Minus ax would just be minus a, and then minus 3a is just a constant, so the derivative of that just goes to 0. G, f of x equals x squared minus 6 all over 2x. Once again, a bit of manipulation first. Easiest way I found with something like this is to split it into 2 fractions and then simplify that. With the first part, the 1x will cancel from the numerator and denominator, so we'll end up with a half x. Minus 6 over 2x will give us minus 3, and then we can make the power of the x negative. And then from here, we can do the derivative. So we'll have f dash x equals derivative of a half x will just be a half. Now this one we've got minus 1 in the power, bring that down, multiply it by the minus 3, so we'll end up with positive 3, x to the power of negative 2. H, once again, we want to rewrite this so it is in a form we can do the derivative of. So when we have the cube root, that is the same as x to the power of a third. And then the derivative becomes really simple. So bring the third down, so it'll be a third x, and then minus 1 from a third, which will give us negative 2/3. And the last one, y equals 3x squared plus 4 all over the square root of x. Once again, we just want to simplify this. This would be 3x squared over x to the power of a half. Square root of x is the same as x to the power of a half, plus 4 over x to the power of a half. Then if we simplify this, 3x squared over x to the power of a half, just do our index laws, and we will end up with 3x to the power of 3 on 2, 2 minus a half, plus 4 multiplied by x to the power of negative a half. And now we can do the derivative. So our dy over dx would equal 3 times 3 on 2, which will be 9 on 2, x to the power of 3 on 2 minus 1, which will be a half. Then we'll end up with minus because we're going to have 4 multiplied by negative a half from the power, which will give us minus 2 x to the power of negative 3 on 2. And that is the power rule.